What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the overall market, how this may affect NIO, and why on earth NIO is still doing very well right now. I'm also going to break down what my price predictions are for NIO going forward, and why you should be very excited for what's about to come for the stock. Now, before I break anything down about this though, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, whether it's $1 or $100, it's up to you. You're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free NIO share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 2 days, so make sure you check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. NIO is up 6.85% for the day. Let's go. Pushing up quite nicely as the market did have a bit of a breakout. I mentioned to you guys that if the market got a breakout, this would help NIO get very close to this 9.7 area. Instead, NIO actually broke above it and closed around 9.83. But the real question is, could NIO keep going, or is NIO going to fall? Now, for the super short term, for like tomorrow and Friday, I'm not as sure about how this is going to perform, because I do want to note that we might see a slight pullback depending on the data coming out for tomorrow, but it does not matter too much in my opinion, because you have to remember, not only does NIO have a potential inverse head and shoulders that formed, but on top of that, we have deliveries data coming out in the very beginning of April, once again in just a couple of days, and that could actually help NIO absolutely explode and get all the way back into the 10s and the 11s. It's going to depend on the numbers, but I think NIO is going to do well. But first, I have to talk about something else. We have other pieces of data coming out for the overall market tomorrow, and this could affect NIO too. So tomorrow morning, 1 hour before the market opens, we have some important data. We have the Q4 GDP price index coming out. It's going to tell us how on earth the GDP was looking and what we could actually expect going forward based off whether or not we see more contractions compared to before or not. On top of that, I want to talk about initial jobless claims. That's also going to be coming out tomorrow. And this is super important because the market wants these numbers to be high. We want more unemployment during a time like this. Why? Because high unemployment is going to bring aggregate demand down. We want people to lose jobs. Technically, that's what the Fed wants. I mean, I know like it's really horrible for me to say that. I don't truly like want that to happen. I'm just talking about what the market wants, right? The market is going to want there to be more unemployment if it wants to pump and it wants to like respond more positively. That's unfortunate, but the reason for that, once again, is to bring down inflation. It's a trade-off. We suffer for the short term to bring inflation down, because if we don't do this, then inflation will keep going up, and that's going to be even worse of a problem going forward. That's why it's very important to bring inflation down, and that's why we want more unemployment. So this is why the jobs numbers and the GDP numbers are going to be very important. We also have the Fed Barkin and also Fed Waller speaking tomorrow, just a couple of hours into the market open. Once again, the Fed speakers do affect how the market moves to some degree. This is going to be very important too. On Friday, we have PCE data coming out. That's going to affect us too. So be on the lookout for Thursday and Friday. Some big data is coming out. I want to note that we have the GDP fourth quarter and year 2022 final estimate coming out tomorrow. Please be ready. If you look at what the numbers are looking like so far, this is just the growth rate from the real GDP. We can see right here, when we account for external factors, we're actually seeing lots of contractions right here. And as time goes on, if this continues to get tighter or even negative, that could signal a recession coming very soon. 2022 was not an extremely strong year, especially near the end. If we continue to see contraction, recession could come, a big recession could come, and that could be very negative for the markets in the upcoming months. Just wanted to note that. If there's an increase in real GDP for the fourth quarter, that could also show increases in private spending and consumer spending. We don't want this to be too high, but once again, this data is actually from before, so it's not going to affect us way too much for the time being. But once again, the market will still respond to it regardless. Now, as far as NIO goes, we have some good news that came out. We have high volume at 56 million. And on top of that, NIO is up 6.85%. So we're pumping on high volume now. Lots of buying pressure is returning. This was not just because of like shorts covering, but we're continuing to see consistent buying pressure perpetuate. We also saw a big decrease in the overall short volume percentage relative to price. This tells me that there's less shorting now. We're starting to see NIO getting bought up even more, and the price performance likely will reflect that. Now, other data is telling us that NIO is continuing to actually hold this very low price pairs ratio of support. This tells me that it was undervalued, and there is a good chance it's going to try bouncing even more. We're likely going to get a bounce here, and we're going to continue to see NIO outperform the markets. Now, I'm not, once again, as confident about tomorrow because the numbers are coming out, the jobs numbers and the GDP, but it doesn't matter as much as long as the market holds up pretty well, as long as NIO holds above like 9.7, 9.5, that's completely fine because once again, going into Friday, I do think there's going to be another pump for the EVs in anticipation of the big numbers coming out. Even Benzinga and many other analysts are reporting the same things. We could see a very strong deliveries report coming out for Q1 for NIO, Li Auto, XPeng, and also Tesla. That would be very awesome as well. That could really help NIO. NIO is also continuing to improve its price performance because of the bullish catalyst that just came out that I was talking about. We have this partnership with Tibber. Once again, this is a very important tech energy provider in Europe, and it's going to help users with smart charging solutions in Norway, Germany, Sweden, and the Netherlands, and other countries too. They also noted the big improvement and increase in the production plans for their battery swap stations. Once again, an improvement by over 1,000 was very bullish news. We're still reacting to all of those pieces of news. But once again, I don't really know a whole lot about what's going to happen tomorrow. NIO is fighting a major supply zone right here. We have strong resistance between 9.8 and about 10. If we could break this, I don't know when it's going to happen. I mean, I don't know if it's going to, we'll have to wait till like Friday because I do think NIO is going to pump by Friday because of the deliveries numbers, which are about to come out. But I'm not too worried about Thursday for the time being. I don't know what the data is going to cause. Maybe a slight pullback, completely fine, nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about, in my opinion, for the time being. I think what's going to matter more, once again, is Friday and also what happens next week. By the time Monday comes, I think NIO's numbers should be out. We might see NIO just explode at this point because you have to remember we have this potential inverse head and shoulders that's playing out. We're getting very close. I think we're basically at where the potential neckline would be. We actually broke above it technically. And on top of that, we have the potential to come all the way up to this like 10.6 zone. If we break 10, break that, there's another gap up here around the 11s. NIO might push all the way up there if we get a good report for deliveries. All right. So what am I seeing for tomorrow? Just like I said before, I'm not 100% sure. It depends on the data, the GDP numbers, the initial jobless claims, and also the Fed speakers. If we pull back, completely fine as long as we hold 9.7, then there's like 9.5. Then we also have this like gap down to like 9.2. I don't think NIO is going to fill this gap that soon. We may not even come this low for a while, but I just want to note these are the support zones to watch for. If we do end up coming down a bit, I'm going to be watching 9.7 and 9.5. I think we're most likely going to hold around there tomorrow. But if the market keeps going off the data that comes out, this could help NIO try to break $10. It's also very possible it could even break $10. Once again, I'm not too worried about tomorrow, so we'll just wait and see how it goes. But what's more important is going to be, as long as we hold these higher levels going into like Friday and we get ready for a strong deliveries, because that could really shift the price action, the momentum, the sentiment in NIO's favor. That's why I want to see some strong deliveries. NIO's CEO did say recently that they expect 250,000 deliveries for just 2023. So in order for them to achieve that, to not have egg on their faces, to not come out as a joke, as some people are now seeing NIO, in order for that to happen, they need to keep their words. They need to do very well, and we need to see some strong numbers. I'm going to be watching that. If we get them, this thing is going to explode and hit the 11s, potentially maybe even higher. If we fail, it's going to come crashing down. But I believe the odds are in NIO's favor. I believe in the company. I think she's going to give us a good number for March. All right, so thank you all so much for listening. once again, for tomorrow, I'm not too worried about it. We might just see NIO pull back a little bit, maybe trade a little sideways. Unless we break 10, then this thing can go flying, but I'm just not too sure about tomorrow. It depends heavily on the data, the GDP numbers, and etc. So anyways, thank you for listening. Just get ready, remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll most definitely see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.